What's up? Welcome to the Tedeschi Trucks Podcast. This is episode number 33, and I am Adam Choit. To follow this show, it's at Tedeschi Trucks Podcast on Instagram, and I'm at Adam Choit on Instagram as well if you want to follow me. And of course, I have no affiliation with the band. This is not an official podcast for the band or anything. I'm just a fan. And if you're listening to this, I'm guessing there's a good chance that you might be too. I have that part down, don't I? But be sure to subscribe and give the show a positive review on iTunes. Doing those things as well is helpful for sure. I appreciate it. But before I get into today's episode, I just wanted to briefly talk about some news having to do with TTB. And JJ Johnson has announced, and TTB has announced that he is leaving the band. And that makes me sad. But he's going to do other things with his career and life and is going to move on. And he was awesome in the band. I just wanted to say that. And I've seen him every single show I've been to. He's been there since the beginning. So best wishes to him post TTB, and I'm sure Tedeschi Trucks Band is going to do well in the aftermath and keep going for sure. But yeah, JJ, he was awesome. TTB for sure in the band. So today's guest is photographer Jérôme Brunet. Straight from his website, it says here he was born in southern France and raised in Ontario, Canada. His passion for music began at the age of 4 when he started studying as a classical cellist for 10 years before moving on to guitar. And he still plays to this day. Jérôme displayed an early talent in the visual arts, studying the discipline in high school before completing a formal education in photography at the prestigious E.F.E.T. School of Photography in Paris, France. He did say, I think, what E.F.E.T. stands for in this upcoming episode, and I was thinking there's no way I would have any idea what he said. So smart to abbreviate. Anyway, Jérôme's award-winning photography has been published internationally in such publications as Vanity Fair, Rolling Stone, Time, and Billboard. The dude has many awesome, amazing, impressive credits, including the long list of legendary musicians that we talk about on this episode. And we talk a lot of TTB as well, for sure, talking about all the shows he's taken photographs at and the amazing journey that has been. But let's just get into this one. Here's Jérôme Brunet. So it's good to see you today, Jérôme Brunet. Thank you for joining me on the Zoom. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Oh, for sure. How are you holding up during this super fun 2020?
It is what it is. Obviously, as a music photographer, it's very difficult and painful not to be able to shoot shows. But luckily, I've been shooting for over 20 years now, so. I have a book and I sell prints as well. So that's kept me afloat thing. But it's, I'm dying to see a good live show for sure.
Yeah. Has there been much like outdoor? I mean, there's a little bit, I've been meaning to see Carrie Frank, cause I know you're in LA. You're based in LA and I am too. And I've been following, Carrie Frank used to play keyboards in Tedeschi Trucks Band.
Okay.
Filling in for Kofi, and he's based in LA, and he's been doing some outdoor, I wouldn't call them shows, but more like, gigs at restaurants and outdoor patios, Yeah. But other than that, have you seen much outdoor music in LA lately?
I have to admit, I haven't really. No.
I haven't really heard of anything of just like comedy, like barely, I think, is starting to slowly come back into some like outdoor, socially distant things.
Yeah,
but,
I haven't heard any
music really.
Yeah, I was in the streets obviously a couple of times for Black Lives Matter, et cetera. But when it comes to shows, I think it's you got to be careful too. So.
Yeah, other than street performers, that's really all, in street performers, that's pretty much all I've seen. Like. Right. like these days. Well, why don't we get into it and you can tell me about your life and a little bit your musical journey. Like, because I see here you were born in France and then moved to Canada. Correct. How long
Correct.
were you in France for, and what was life like then? And what music were you hearing when you were real young?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, born in south of France, raised in Ontario, Canada. That's why I don't necessarily sound French. Uh, all my schooling is done in English, but my parents were both French professors, and so we were born bilingual. The main thing was that my mother was a music teacher, and she got me started on the cello when I was 4. Played that for about 10 years, and then heard Zeppelin, of course. The moment you hear Jimmy Page, it's there. Game over. Switched over to Les Paul. And then in high school, took a photography class, and the two passions collided really. And then I continued on through college. Went back to Paris to study photography, and moved to the States in 2001 in the Bay Area. And that's really where I got hooked on shooting music and all the legendary spots like the Fillmore, etc. So yeah, it's been a wild ride, but about 20 years worth of music photography, about over 500,000 images, all blues, rock, and soul have been my main focus. And and the only rule I have is just I only shoot who I love. So it's hopefully
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome that you
just been
shoot what you love.
I'm extremely lucky to be able to do this for sure.
How much time did you spend in France? How long were you there?
Well, I think I left mid 70s. So I was obviously I don't know. Four, and
so pretty young. Do you have any memories from over there?
Absolutely, because we'd go back every summer.
Oh, so it's like kind of the summer memories like blend with the original. So it was always like a part of your upbringing in your life.
Absolutely. So it was a winter in Canada, a brutal winter in Canada, which I have very fond memories of course. And then summers in France. The whole family still lives out there, so it's that was the way.
Still connected.
Yeah.
And when did you say you heard Jimmy Page? How old were you?
Man, that was high school, so like grade 7, grade 8, the early years.
All right. So so cello was at 4 and Jimmy Page was early high school. What kind of
right.
Where were we like playing music wise at that point, and what were we kind of listening to? Was it mostly classical, whatever school was, or whatever your
I think up to that point, before high school, I think, I was like top 40 rubbish. That was in the 80s. But yeah, it wasn't until high school that, people, showed me, Black Sabbath and Zeppelin and Floyd and, like the real substantial music. And then it was being so enamored by Led Zeppelin specifically. I very quickly looked into like, where does this come from? And of course, it led me all the way back to Robert Johnson and company. So huge blues influence for me. I got to see John Lee Hooker when I was in high school. As a matter of fact, I got to meet him, and I was just that was definitely a major turning point for me in my musical college.
Even before then, what were you into? Because it doesn't sound like you were super passionate about music. I don't know how passionate you were about cello up to that point. Were you into like something like sports or other art forms or something?
Definitely always the arts, and I've been passionate about music as far back as I can remember. Obviously, it started with classical music.
Right.
That's those are the earliest memories. It's. I've studied painting, dance, all sorts of different artistic versions, and then just happened to land on a photography class in high school. Little did I know I'd do that for essentially the rest of my life. So
did that come before you started playing guitar or after? Right around the same time, it sounds like.
Yeah, around the same time. Yep. Around the same time.
That's cool. Did you put the cello aside at that point? Like how long did you play the cello for?
About 10 years. Yeah.
About 10 years, and then in high school you picked up the guitar.
Yeah.
And what do you remember about like when you first started playing guitar? Was it? What did you want to learn? What was? Yeah,
I still remember going into a guitar store and picking up a Les Paul and hitting the magical 3 from Deep Purple.
Yeah, of course. Why? Yeah, I did the same.
So yeah, that was just absolutely hooked. And then I had a buddy that showed me the pentatonic scale, and I was just fuck. I was like, oh, this is pure magic. Yeah.
That's pretty much basically what happened to me, like freshman year in college, basically
Yeah.
playing Smoke on the Water riff and then
Right.
being like, here's a pentatonic scale. And being like, oh, I could play this over a 3-chord loop and
Yeah.
entertain myself.
Forever.
And
Forever.
yeah,
Yeah.
basically. And it doesn't cost money,
Right.
jamming, even just playing guitar by yourself. It's
Yeah.
entertainment.
Best drug for sure. Yeah.
And what about photography in high school? You hadn't had any experience with photography up to this point.
No, so that pretty much started. Started there, and I just picked it up, and it just seemed so obvious to me.
It wasn't a class. Did you buy a camera? How did you even
it was a class. Yeah, it was a
class at your school?
Absolutely, yeah, full class, we developed our own film, printed all our prints, it just seemed very natural to me, just like switching from the cello to electric guitar. It's pretty much your left hand is doing exactly the same thing. So it just felt really, really natural, and like just an extension of my voice. And then when I figured out that I could actually, combine the two passions, that's where it really was, a light bulb moment for me. So, yeah.
Did people see this in you right away? Teachers, your parents, your friends, siblings, if you have any, did they see like, oh, wow, you're good at photography, or we can see how much you're into it? Or did they notice your passion developing?
I don't want to embellish too much, but yeah, I mean, it was pretty clear that JB was going to be doing something artistic.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Your mom was a music teacher. What about the rest of your family? Are they in the arts?
Not necessarily. No, the rest all profs, all teachers, uncles, aunts. Mostly professors. So. Yeah.
It's cool. So what about your playing the guitar and shooting photographs? Like how did that, proceed through high school? How did that, where did you go in that journey?
I remember very quickly joining a band, and we did a few gigs, local bars, and it was just a blast. It's an absolute blast. But I do recall.
How do you get good enough to play gigs so fast? Like you just started playing guitar like in high school, but now you're in a band and playing gigs.
You need 3 chords, brother.
Right? Yeah, I guess so.
But no, I went to a really cool, very artistic high school there that had some really great classes, a lot of great art classes. So it was loaded with really cool cats to be able to collaborate with. So I guess that's kind of how it happened.
Yeah, you're surrounded by other creative people and other musicians and people who play music.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you started shooting photographs of local gigs. This is all in Ontario?
So no, I didn't shoot gigs. The high school years were, essentially just learning how to shoot, learning composition, learning lighting, learning the camera itself. So it wasn't even like the subject matter wasn't really necessarily even there yet. It was just learn, just like when you first pick up a guitar, you need to learn the absolute basics. Before you can even have a conversation through the instrument with another person. That comes much later, and that would have been through college when I really started to try to form a vision of what something like a signature vision, I guess you would call it.
What's something basic that the average person who even shoots things with their phone or whatever, even the average person who thinks they're good at photography, what do they not do right, or you see people doing?
It doesn't. That's the thing, is that it's. I always use the analogy that just because you have a Stratocaster doesn't mean you're going to sound like Hendrix, regardless of how long you practice or whatever. So it's all about what's inside, and being able to to get it out through your instrument, whatever that instrument be, a camera, a guitar, or whatever. So it's not, it's not given to everyone. It's not as easy as you would think.
When you shoot a photograph, like I guess even especially these days, you're looking at your subject, and what you're trying to do is convey what you are seeing and feeling through your through your images. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah,
and that's
so,
hard to do, and that takes time to develop. Is that
for sure? Yeah. I mean, it's again, it's like playing music to really get your point across. You have to really let your soul out and pull it, let it all out. Hopefully, obviously I chose shooting musicians, so it's kind of a double. Trying to capture the soul of the musician with my own view, with my own sensibility, I guess. So it's
their soul, how you kind of see it, how you want to. I don't want to say portray them, but like it's also what you think that something you want to shoot, what represents them too.
Right. Yeah. Well, absolutely.
That
goes back to what I was originally saying, that I only shoot who I love. So being passionate about the music that's being played, I think hopefully adds to what I'm shooting, because it comes to you and you throw it right back at them, even twice as much. It's just being passionate.
Yeah.
So important.
Yeah, it's two art forms happening at the same time. I never even really think of it as that. When you have a photographer shooting live music, there's a couple of things going on at once.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you knew you were going to be.
Yeah,
it sounds like you knew you were going to be a photographer in high school. Is that kind of like what were you thinking junior, senior year? Where were you projected to head? You kind of laid it out earlier, but I'll let you fill in the.
But that's pretty much it. It's I actually can literally remember the moment in high school where I chose between either do I continue with playing with a band, or do I continue with the music, or excuse me, with the photography. So that was it for me. I just I figure I'd probably have been, I don't know, toast at 27 in some crappy bar in El Paso if I'd stuck with music. So anyway.
I hear you.
Yeah.
So you kind of just said where can I go to school, and you knew or found this school in France, and obviously you have some family there, so I'm sure that was part of the whole thing.
Of course, yeah. Did 4 years at a college called E.F.E.T, École Française d'Études Techniques, and it had photography classes. It had architecture, AV, I think, and I did 4 years straight, all photography. And we really touched everything. I was actually the very last class to do all silver based. So film and development, printing, studio work, all formats. And it was incredible. And then being in Paris, obviously, it was incredible. I was got to see the greatest photography in the world literally on the walls, and meeting some of the great photographers like Henri Cartier-Bresson and Salgado, like the biggest names in photography, which was just mind blowing.
Yeah, it's like a dream. You were in the right place. It sounds
absolutely.
like, for sure.
Yeah.
What were there challenges within your program and curriculum, that you faced, or what about the other kids, the other students? Were they pompous? Were they nice? Were people down to earth? Were they?
Yeah, no, for the most part, it was cool. No, I think technically it was like we really did everything, and like some of the tests we had to do were like you had to name every chemical in the developer, and I was like, fuck it, I don't give a shit. I just want to go out and shoot.
Yeah.
So, but
they're trying to give you at least an academic.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Kind of a test. Yeah, there's got to be some true, false, yes, no, exact answer things that they can give you.
No, apart from that, it was just incredible, extremely lucky to have been able to take that path.
Yeah, because in my head I'm stereotyping. I'm like, oh, art school in France, there must be some of these kids are probably pretentious and whatever, especially maybe young people or whatever. But
I mean, it was an art college, so it was pretty cool.
Yeah, no, that's cool. So you were there 4 years. What were you thinking? Like what were the plans? Like getting into your senior year, what were you going to do after that?
I was very much into documentary photography at the time. I still hadn't really crossed over into shooting music. But yeah, social documentary type of stuff. Shooting with a small light Leica camera is very compact and inobtrusive. But it's very, very taxing and dangerous in some cases. Yeah, I mean that's a whole different ballgame, because music, you get to chill in the photo pit and have a beer and relax and
You're talking about like journalism,
photojournalism, yeah,
shooting all kinds of crazy things.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I did do was, which I'm amazed I was able to do, was a 6-month ride along in El Paso, Texas, with a canine unit. And that's right along the border of Juarez. And this was back in 97, 98, right when it was just like really bad. Not that it's any better now, but it was incredible. So everything from murders, huge drug busts,
wow,
autopsies, you name it, I shot it. And it was an incredible experience. But again, it's brutal, man.
So that's what you kind of fell into after college.
Originally
in the States, you were doing, sounds like some freelance photojournalism, and a lot of traveling around, or were you
a little bit? Yeah, a little bit. But I prefer spending a lot of time in one location, to really sort of get an in-depth view, and that's why 6 months
in El Paso.
In El Paso, yeah.
Had you done anything like that or been around anything like that until that point in your life that you could talk about?
No, I had done a short stint with the Vice Squad in Paris, but that was only for 2 weeks. And the main issue was it being the first time is really brutal. Like your first autopsy is never an easy one.
Yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to get at. Is like, how are you able to handle that emotionally? You get nauseous.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty thick-skinned. So yeah, it's harsh. Anyway, so I don't want to go down that rabbit hole too much. This is Tedeschi Trucks Band.
Yeah, I know. This is all interesting podcast stuff to me. I'm the one taking us down.
But here you go. That's the history.
Rabbit holes.
That's the history, and then and then after that, after 2001, it was just all music, and it's been music ever since.
What was it around that time that made you go down the music path? Was it something that gradually you realized, or was it like, okay, fuck this, I can't do this journalism anymore?
It wasn't. It was a slow movement. I always wanted to shoot, the legendary musicians, and the first one that I shot, I remember racing across the United States in a U-Haul to get to the Warfield it's like a concert hall in San Francisco to shoot Jeff Beck. That was for me like the most important thing was to make it, and I did. So that was literally the first show, and then just kept going, just kept shooting every big name that I could possibly get. At first, the first few 5 years probably were very, very a lot of denial. I wasn't allowed to shoot any, but it was sporadic. And the more I shot, the more I was getting access to musicians and to shows and festivals. So
and then initially you had to pay for a ticket, bring your camera, and hope that you'd be allowed to shoot. Is that kind of what the?
No. I had actually, thanks to that cop project, I got signed with a photo agency in LA called Zuma Press, and through them I was able to immediately put in for press passes, photo passes. So everything that I've shot basically since 01 was all shot professionally. At the very minimum, photo pass, first 3 songs.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah,
but it's work. You're working.
Yeah,
but you
absolutely.
love it.
Right. I don't. You could call it work, but I never felt like it was work. It's the work is after your shoot when you have to come home and edit. 1,500 images.
Yeah,
that's the crappy part.
It doesn't sound like taking the pictures takes away from your concert experience at all. It sounds like it almost enhances it because you're doing what you love at the same time. Is that?
Yeah.
That?
But there is a caveat. It's the fact that you're so concentrating on getting the image that the audio actually is put takes a back seat. What the musicians are actually.
That. Yeah, I could see that.
You could feel the music obviously going right through your body. You're in the photo pit for the most part. So you could feel the rhythm, but my memory is a little vague, especially when I'm shooting, of exactly.
I could see that. Yeah. Our brains could only digest so much at a time.
And then when you're and when you're concentrating to try to capture, just like they're concentrating to play play the music, we're concentrating to try to capture their soul on in the camera. So anyway,
yeah,
small detail.
I'm just drinking at shows normally and hanging out. That's I don't have those responsibilities that you guys have.
Not a big responsibility.
Yeah, what were some of the early gigs that you shot and did you have clients that you were going to sell these pictures to before you even went to the shows? You said you were able to get access, but
right.
How
does
it work?
The getting signed with a photo agency, basically you it's like a big image bank, and you send in your images usually the night of. You upload your images to their server, and then people like I've been published internationally. Rolling Stone, Vanity Fair, quite a few. They have access to these huge files, just like Getty Images. It's another big one. And then that's where they pick their images and then they publish it. So that's how you get paid. Yeah, licensing of your work. So yeah.
And that's how you've been doing it since.
Yeah, professionally, that's how I acquired all my work, and since then came out with a book and sell fine art prints. I've been thanks to the book, I've been picked up by a lot of fine art galleries around the world. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a great honor, man, for sure.
Yeah. Is this something that is this like what you envisioned all along? Like, especially when you made the turn into music, or?
I had no idea. No, it's just just following the passion and just riding the wave, man. For better or for worse.
Let me write that down. Follow the passion and ride the wave. Because I don't know, you have a very calm, matter of fact way of speaking, and although I've heard,
there's no secret, man. It's I've been extremely lucky. That's certainly a major thing for me. Is that extremely lucky, right place, right time.
Well, that's great.
So, yeah.
But you're working hard and you took the time to learn the craft and do what you needed to do to get to where you needed and wanted to get to. I was asking you who were some of the early bands that when you made the switch to filming or shooting musicians?
Well, the very first shot that I have in my book called Into the Light is actually a picture of B.B. King that I shot in Paris. That was, I believe, in 94. And on that one, I was not shot professionally. I'd actually snuck into the show with this crappy little camera. I had one roll of film in it, and I think it had like a 40 mil lens on it. And I snuck up next to the press and shot a few songs there. So that's the very first show that's in the book, first shot in the book.
I see it. Or on the is it the one on the cover?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh no, the cover is a little later. Yeah.
Okay.
2008. Yeah, and then it just, I think I was in the first few shots were Jimmy Page. That was in Boston. Ali Fakature, amazing African guitarist. So those were the early ones that are coming to mind right now. But then it was just try to shoot the biggest legends, of guitar, obviously heavy guitar players. So all the Santanas, the Claptons, all Jeff Beck, Jimmy Page, the list goes on and on.
And those was all people that you were able to shoot kind of.
Yeah. After 20, I mean, pretty much anybody that was in the genre of blues, rock, and soul. So soul, Aretha Franklin, James Brown, blues, everything from, B.B. King, Buddy Guy, Hubert Sumlin, Pinetop Perkins. Again, the list is long.
That is awesome.
Yeah. So it was just, there was no secret about that. It was just try to shoot as many of the living legends while they're still around,
Is it performances only that you shoot, or do you do backstage or behind the scenes or anything like that?
So it's, for the most part, at the beginning, it was always first three songs. That's usually what they allow you professionally as a press, a credentialed press photographer. They bring you into the photo pit, first three songs, and then you have to, either go back to your seat or leave the venue. And little by little, as the years progressed, I would either get to know the musician. That's always the greatest contact. But it started off more getting in contact with promoters like Live Nation, Another Planet, and Entertainment in San Francisco, going through them, and then through them, the next stage would be the managers, tour managers. So you're getting closer and closer and closer to finally, being in contact with the musician. So that's pretty much how it's progressed. And so the Tedeschi Trucks Band have been incredibly open to allow me to shoot. Pretty much almost every show that I've shot has been full access, backstage, on stage, side stage. So it's they're I mean, it's the kind of band that they have nothing to hide. Probably better than I do. Musically, it's just such an incredible, probably the greatest live band on the planet currently. In my humble
preaching
opinion.
to the choir. Preaching to the choir here, my friend. When did you first start working with them or for them?
So the very first time I shot Derek was with when he was playing with Clapton. That would have been 2007 in San Jose. And then that same year, shot him. I think it was still the Derek Trucks Band at the Crossroads Festival, and that was just an incredible. Who's who of guitar players. So, Buddy Guy, Rick Clay, John Mayer, Hubert Sumlin, Johnny Winter, Jimmy Vaughn, Jeff Beck, and B.B. King. So to see all these people all at once, and Susan did join the band as well at the festival. So that was the first time I actually saw the two of them together. I remember actually running into Susan because I had access to the VIP on the top floor, and I crossed her in the elevator. So that was the first time I actually met her. I was in the elevator down to the concert. So I've shot them pretty much every couple of years. Next big one, actually, the next time I shot Derek was at the Metro Fountain Blues and Brews Festival in San Jose. That was always a fun. It was like a university festival. And then that was around the time where I got full access. I was the official photographer for the Santa Cruz Blues Festival in California. This incredible 2-day festival in this natural sort of tree, natural bowl, I guess.
I should have been there.
Yeah, it was just incredible. I mean, the headliners were, B.B. King, Buddy Guy, Steve Miller. The list goes on and on. And I guess it was 2010. I guess it was the first year that the Tedeschi Trucks Band was formed. They played. They were the headliners that year, and his brother was on drums. I don't know if he was just sitting in for somebody else, but that was a incredible show. Let's see what else we got. Then we have a couple of years later. I got to shoot in Paris at the very legendary Olympia Hall, and that's probably one of the top locations you can play in Paris. And the Beatles have played there. Hendrix has played there. And I had full access. Wow. That was the second time I had full access to shoot the band. But I didn't actually personally get to talk to them or meet them. But I somehow had full access. So that was an absolutely incredible gig.
You just were able to go to roam wherever you wanted to in the venue, behind, backstage, on stage, side stage. Yeah. But you weren't really hanging out with them. You were working, but you were able to get close and go wherever you wanted.
For the most part, I was shooting side stage most of the night. And my very first shot that's in the book is from that gig. It's a horizontal shot of Derek with this incredible lighting coming in from the top corner. It's very ethereal, just a really powerful shot. What else we got? Shot them at outside Lands Festival. It's a big 3-day festival in San Francisco at the Golden Gate Park. Again, full access. At this time, that was actually probably the first time I had a quick discussion with him backstage. So humble, and it was just incredible. The whole band, quite honestly, just every time I've had the pleasure of being able to talk to any of the musicians or the management or the guys behind the consoles, just super down to earth and
that's
cool
what everyone says that I talk to, because pretty much all my guests, fans, journalists, other musicians, they've crossed paths with Derek or Susan or friends with them even in some capacity, and that's what everyone says is how down to earth, how humble, how nice they are. No one ever says a bad thing about them.
No attitude. That's just
but not even a bad moment. I've never even heard of anyone even having, I'm sure they have their bad, but they're smart enough to have those moments, not publicly, I guess.
Whatever. But they've been nothing but kind to me every time I put in the request. So it's let's see what else. Greek theater. Sorry.
I was going to ask if any of these gigs jump out at you. I mean, I guess it depends on the photo. Which one might have the best set? One might have the best photographs. One might have a cool interaction with one of the band members. But does one show or one gig for you jump out at you more than maybe the one in France? I mean, it's probably
the one in France was amazing. Actually, a little anecdote is the next day. So I shot the show. The next day, I go hit a patio bar. It was just like a block away from my apartment in the heart of Paris. And fucking the whole band shows up and sits right next to me. I actually did get to talk to them the next day at the bar. Again, super nice. Susan wasn't there, but it was Derek and pretty much the rest of the band. So we all had a beer and just chilled and just talked shop essentially.
That's the life.
Yeah, but for them to land literally on my corner bar was just it was really surreal. But if there was one show that really comes to mind, it was the Wheels of Soul tour back in 2015 at the Greek Theater in Berkeley. And this had Doyle Bramhall and the incredible Sharon Jones on the bill. I'd have to say it was definitely my favorite gig. This one, again, full access. But somehow this time I don't know, they had time to kill, and I had an amazing conversation with Derek about camera gear and Leica camera. It's like a German camera.
He does do a little photography too. Do I
Yeah,
remember reading that correctly?
yes. He's a big Leica guy, Leica fan. So we had a long conversation about that, and he told me an anecdote about Clapton giving him a particular, very rare 50 millimeters. I believe it was a Noctilux lens. It's like a very rare.
Yeah, this one I read this somewhere or saw there's a video about this. He's talked
okay. Well, he told me this story.
Yeah,
and
you had it first, my friend. You got the scoop first.
Possibly, I don't know, but yeah, it was amazing. I had a similar a moment with Steve Miller where I didn't really know the guy. I very quickly approached him, told him who I was, and boom, the moment we went into technical talk about gear, it was like we're best friends, and it was incredible. So, I would say that was probably the best shots that I have of the band, because I got probably the most I had ever shot backstage. So I have incredible. Those are. I have two of those in the book as well. I have a group shot of Derek, Susan, Sharon, and Doyle. That was, and then I had one more shot of just Susan and Sharon in the book. So yeah, just a really relaxed feeling. Sometimes you feel like there's something in the air. You don't want to bother them.
You got to read the room and feel the vibe, I guess.
For the most part, I usually just try to be fly on the wall and try not to bother anyone. And I certainly never do the selfies with anyone. Only selfie I did get this is with anyone famous was Eddie Van Halen. I was like, there's no way I'm not getting proof that I was that I got to see, that I got to take a shot with Eddie Van Halen. But that was anyway.
Professionally shot selfie.
Yeah. No, it was at a photo exhibition that I was putting on in LA called Photo LA, and fucking hell, in comes Eddie Van Halen with his brother, and it was like it's like seeing Hendrix. Like fuck, I have to document this.
Sure.
So I'm glad I did. Yeah.
I'm sure. Yeah. Rest in peace for
beyond that. Yeah, but beyond that, I've always tried to be as fly on the wall as possible.
But do you find it helps, do you get better photographs when you get to know your subjects more, to the best you can,
Yeah. I mean, I've done, like for example, the BB King that's on the cover of my book, that was shot first 3 songs. And then I was forced to leave the place. And it turned out to be, my most famous shot. But just like being able to, when you get to know the musicians and you get much more relaxed, the main thing when you know the musician, you can get certain angles that you probably wouldn't get if you were just in the photo pit. To be able to spend time and you can easily get lost as well. So it's 2 different versions.
What about shooting, I guess, Derek specifically? Is there something that jumps out at you about, taking photographs of him versus other guitar players? Like, this is Derek. I want to be sure that this setting is right, or get this angle, or something about him that's different.
I never prepare anything. For me, it's always. I think that comes from my documentary background to shoot. In the purest form, where you zero preparation, you just you try to sense the music, and that's something that's been enormously helpful. Is having studied music, is you can actually feel the rhythm of the music. You can feel when the solo's peaking. You can kind of almost predict what's gonna happen. Hopefully be in the right position to capture that, but it's like, it's half luck, half
and you've
half
seen
access,
and you've seen enough. I was gonna say you've seen enough shows to know kind of like, a lot of those cues, whether in the music or even in the lighting or other things on stage, to know like they're going to take it real down low and quiet. And this is the vibe I want to kind of capture, or like you said, a solo that's at its peak and the drums are revving up. That might be another.
And you just keep shooting. You just keep shooting. I mean, first 3 songs I could pop off up 1,500 shots. And then from that I'll pick maybe 10, 20 shots. I don't know if I had mentioned, but I've probably shot well over 500,000 images total in the last 20 years, and
I believe
the book has been edited down to. It took me a year to make the book. I think I'm down to like 240 images. I think something like that. So it's I mean, you have to edit. Just like music. Keeping it simple and trying to get the best.
I hear you. What other bands have you been taking, or artists in the last few years besides Tedeschi Trucks have you been?
Man, again, it's
everyone you love.
Blues rock.
Everyone on your Instagram page and website.
Pretty much, yeah, exactly. Everybody that's in the book,
Yeah, right.
But it's whoever I'm passionate about, blues rock, soul, if they've been alive for the past 20 years, there's a good chance I've shot them. So,
do any of these artists know that you play guitar too? Who have you brought it up to?
I've jammed with Steve Miller.
Oh wow! I was going to kind of ask questions like that. What is your dreams, goals, and hopes?
That was an incredible evening in New York City. I was invited to have dinner with him and him and his wife, lit up a cigar and he's like, "Let's jam." I'm like, "All right." Picked up a couple of acoustics in his living room. Yeah. So it was.
This was in New
York. Just a surreal moment in New York. Yeah.
Wow.
So
what did you guys play?
Just straight blues, like a G minor blues. I tried to follow him. I was just trying to keep it solid because here I am playing and try not to shake essentially.
Did you do a solo pentatonic scale or what?
I might have pulled. I tried to pull a few, but it's mighty daunting when you're faced with an absolute rock and roll legend. So I tried to pretty much stick to the rhythm section.
That's when you get starstruck, when you have the guitar in your hands. When you have the camera in your hands, you're in your element.
A little more comfortable for sure. Indeed. Yeah.
What about any other hopes, dreams, goals, plans for the future? Obviously, you have the situation with the pandemic and this and that.
That's the main thing. Get over this bloody thing and get back to business, man. I mean, I've got a massive show that was put on hold in Memphis at the Blues. It was actually it will be my largest exhibition to date. And it's currently on hold at the Blues Foundation. They have a big gallery there, and it's going back to getting shows together, potentially look into a second edition of the book. And shooting, getting back to fucking shooting.
You're just gonna keep doing what you're doing. As far as Tedeschi Trucks, what about jamming with Derek or seeing with them at a specific? Is there a venue that have you been to? Like done any of the Red Rock shows or the Beacon shows or any of the big ones? Where haven't you been that you want to go to?
I mean, obviously that's the Red Rock would be incredible. But I'm often asked like, where's your favorite place to shoot? And I often reply, in between, and so in the rear, in between the two drummers of the Tedeschi Trucks Band. Like literally, they could be playing anywhere, but to be in that position with your camera is just the most incredible sonic visual experience.
I can picture it
anywhere. It's just surreal. And so that's oftentimes I'll bring that up as my favorite place to shoot.
Can you get the whole? I thought you meant geography initially. Actually, that's funny. But place in the world,
physically anywhere, they can play anywhere. But
that's right. That's
between the two drummers. Yeah.
Can you capture the whole band from there with a wide angle lens or anything like that?
Yeah, I have 14 to 24 lens, I believe, from the rear, and you have to lift up, of course, the camera over your head. But and it's a lot harder to shoot directly behind a band because obviously you don't want to be too obvious. So a lot of times you're sort of on your knees or bending down, and you pop up every so often. And of course, all the musicians are facing away from you, so you have to wait for that perfect moment where Derek, Susan, turn around, or the drummer does turns his head sideways. But when you do capture something like that, it's really amazing having the audience behind them as the backdrop. Makes for really powerful images. Yeah,
we're not going back to drug busts and autopsies.
No, I think I'm done with that, man. No, that's it for me. Yeah.
No, I think you chose wisely.
Thanks.
But, I'm envious. I'm jealous. I'm like, oh shit, maybe this is what I should have been doing. Yeah, it's all good. It's a journey, like you said.
Right. It's an amazing journey. Yeah.
Why don't you tell people where they can find you, follow you? We kind of cover what you're pushing for and working on in the future.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to talk about?
Social media is just my full name, Jérôme Brunet, JeromeBrunet. I have a book out, and that's the book's called Into the Light, and you can get signed copies and prints as well at intothelight.photo. My website is, again, my full name, JéromeBrunet.com. And it's rock on.
Cool. I appreciate the time. It's been fun. And
thank you so much for having me. It's been an honor.
Good stories. And I'm looking forward to checking out more of the photographs.
Cheers, man. Appreciate it.
You got to take it.
Take care.
So there you go. My conversation with Jérôme Brunet. That was a lot of fun. And I again thank Jérôme for taking the time. I definitely enjoyed hearing about his journey as an artist and photographer. Anyway, for now, hope everyone out there is hanging in there during this super fun and wonderful 2020. For now, check out Tedeschi Trucks Podcast on Instagram. That's at Tedeschi Trucks Podcasts. And of course, remember to tap subscribe or follow on iTunes, Spotify, or via whichever way you listen to this show. Positive reviews on iTunes are greatly appreciated. If you guys can do that for me, it helps the show. But I think that's about all I got for today. Again, thanks for listening. Later.